welcome to Keeping It Real with Jay Sean. I thought of telling stories of my life a couple of weeks ago. I was I was in I call it Miami Mike's. I call it Miami Mike's Bar, but it's really called High Beams. And I go there every Sunday during football season with my son DeAndre. And we all Miami Dolphin fans. Well, it's on Getty Ave in Paterson, New Jersey. Well, the first floor is a go-go bar, and the second floor we watch Miami Dolphin games, and the owner is named Miami Mike's. But anyway, I was talking to my son DeAndre, and I was talking about the '80s, and I was telling him about different drugs that we did in the '80s, and he was looking at me like shell shock, like. And I'm telling him, any anybody who was born in the '80s, if you're an '80s baby, I'll say 8 out of 10, either your mother or your father was doing a lot of drugs in the '80s, whether it was pills, weed, coke, dope, whatever. If you an '80s baby, trust me, 8 out of 10 of your parents, we was getting high back in them days. So anyway, I got an idea, and I was like, maybe I should tell stories of my life. And my life is not better than anybody else's life. We all did the same thing. Basically, most of us, we experimented, played around with different drugs and things. And most of us lived to talk about it. Some of us didn't, but most of us did. And I was saying, it's a lot of younger people, older people who don't really know too much about the '80s. So I said, I'm gonna tell some stories about my life. And if you're listening, I'm Jay Sean, aka Randy Jackson. I hung out 17th Ave and 27th Street from the time I was 15 to about 30. We called it 17th Ave, Knowledge God, BTM, maybe a couple of other names from the younger generation. So I decided I'm going to just tell stories about my life. Now, I'm not going to incriminate anybody. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I'm not using people real names. And if I do use somebody real name, you would know it's somebody that's a brother from another mother or a sister from another mother. I'm not going to tell pimp stories and use females' name. And I'm not going to tell certain different stories. I'm not trying to break up no households because a lot of females who was in the go-go gang back then, in the '80s and the '90s and the 2000s, they married now. And a lot of guys who frequent my go-go parties, they married. So I'm not using names. I'm not trying to break up homes. I'm not doing none of that. I'm a content creator. And I'm just going to be giving you my experiences and my time. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. I'm gonna take you back to maybe like 1985. Yeah, around 1985. And I will say my friend name, I was with Allah, aka Sir Allah. And it was a summer day and we was chilling. And it was these brothers that used to come up from Atlanta. No, they used to come up from Ohio, my bad. These brothers that used to come up from Ohio. and they had family members in Patterson, but every summer they would come up from Ohio. This just happened to be the summer of Angel Dust. So they would come up and they wanted to go to New York. Back then you could go to New York. That's when the toll bridge was $1.50. I think when I first started going, it was like 75 cents. But the pay to toll was like $1.50. Not like now where it's $18. You could go to New York on $3 worth of gas and pay the toll for $1.50. So anyway, if you had a car back then, people would pay you to go to New York, or if you was going, people would give you money. That's where we had to go to get all this, the drugs most of the time back then. So we was talking to them. They wanted to pay me to take them to New York to get some Angel Dust to take back to Ohio to sell. So it was cool with me. Allah was riding with me, you know what I mean? And we get in the car, and the two brothers, and we go to New York. We drive to New York. I can't really remember the block. I don't want to lie. I believe it was either 145th Street or 144th, somewhere around St. Nicholas, maybe Edgecombe, Amsterdam, but I'm sure it was somewhere around 145th and St. Nick. So we got the Angel Dust, we copped it. We decided that we was gonna stop in a park and smoke some before we went back to Patterson. Now, back then we smoked joints in easy wire, bamboo paper, fronto leaf sometimes. But they was rolling blunts. They was rolling joints big as blunts today, full of Angel Dust. So they rolled 4 big blunts of Angel Dust. Now, I had never smoked a blunt of Angel Dust. I had smoked little joints of Angel Dust, but I had never smoked a blunt of Angel Dust. So they rolled 4 of them, and we start. I'm sitting down, Allah's sitting down, they standing up on the park bench, and we started puffing, passing it around, passing it. We was in a steady rotation. Now, why each of us didn't just smoke our own blunt, I don't know, but that's what we did back in them days. Take a couple of hits and pass it. Take a couple of hits and pass it, and that's what we was doing. We was in a cipher. It was in a rotation with 4 of us. All of a sudden, I noticed that I was feeling good as hell, and all of a sudden, I just said, damn, I feel good. And Allah and the 2 brothers, they looked at me, and then, they continued talking. Now, I let a minute go by, and I was like, damn, man, I feel good. So, they looked at me and laughed and shit. And like another minute went by, and I was like, yo, Allah. Like, what, Jay? I was like, damn, man, I feel good. And, they laughed, and that just went on for like the next maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Every 1 or 2 minutes, I would cut off their conversation. I'd be like, yo. They'd be like, what's up, Jay? I'd be like, damn, man, I feel good. And they would just start laughing, and then I would get quiet again and get into my own world. But then I remember it was like I had a outer body experience. It was like I was sitting down on a park bench, but my soul flew out of my body and up in the air, and it was like I was looking down. I was up in the sky, but I was looking down at myself and Allah and the 2 guys. But I was up in the air. I wasn't sitting down no more. To me, I was up in the sky, and I was looking down at them. And I don't know. It just felt like I was flying. After about 10 or 15 minutes of flying, it seemed like I coasted back down into my body, and I just stood up, and I started walking to my car. When I got to my car, I tried to take the keys out my pants pocket, but I couldn't. I finally got my keys out my pants, and the keys felt like butter. Imagine squeezing butter in your hands. That's how the car keys felt. So I couldn't get them in the car door. So the two brothers in Allah, they like, yo, what? They asking Allah what I'm doing. So I was trying to get the key in the door, but I was so high I couldn't even get the key in the door. And the two brothers, they started talking, like whispering among each other. I didn't know what they were saying, but I told Allah, I didn't. All of a sudden, I didn't recognize them. I didn't know who they was. I recognized Allah, but I didn't recognize them. And I told Allah, I was like, yo, I'm leaving. You can ride with me, but they can't ride with me. So Allah was, trying to tell me that they came with us, but I was telling him I didn't know them. They can't ride with me. Now, don't forget that we had just came over to New York together. We had just been having a good time, but for some reason, I couldn't recognize them. And they start telling Allah, to talk to me, because don't forget, they drugs was in my car. So Allah was telling me, yo, Jay, they came over here with us, and I was saying, I don't know them. They can't come back with me in my car. I don't know them. So the brothers they started talking amongst themselves, and for some reason I started hearing voices, and the voices was telling me that they was saying that they was gonna hurt me. Now these wasn't no good guys. These was some killers. And they start telling Allah, yo, talk to your boy. Yo, talk to your boy. And Allah was trying to talk to me, and then for some reason I just kept hearing voices saying, Jay, they want to hurt you. Jay, they want to kill you. Jay, they want to hurt you. So I walked to the back of my car. I finally got the key in the trunk. I turned the trunk. I opened the trunk. I used to keep a baseball bat in the trunk. Now this is broad daylight in the summer in New York. I get the bat out the car. Now I'm chasing the two brothers around the car. Allah chasing me. I'm chasing them. And we going round and around and around and around the car. These two girls from New York had been up in the window. I guess they noticed what was going on, and they came down, and they came up to me, and they asked the Allah and the two guys, well, he was smoking angel dust, and they was like, yeah, I guess he out of his mind. So they told Allah and the two brothers to go to the store and get some milk and cookies. And the two girls set me down on a park bench, one on my left, one on my right. And they just start talking to me. What's your name? Where you from? Do you got brothers and sisters? Do you work? How old are you? Do you got kids? One will ask me a question. Then the other one will ask me a question. Then the other one asks me a question. And the other, now, years later, I know what they was doing. They was keeping me focused. Because a lot of people have smoked angel dust and lost their mind, and it never came back. And at that time, I was out of my mind. And they just kept talking to me and talking to me and talking to me and keeping me focused. And Allah came, and the two brothers came back with the milk and the cookies. I took a swallow of the milk, threw up. Took another swallow of the milk, threw up. And the girls was like, that's good. He getting the poison out of his system. Eat some cookies. I tried to eat some of the cookies. I threw that up. Every time I would take a swallow of milk, I would throw it up. Every time I would take a bite of the cookies, I would throw it up. Everything, I would throw it up. Throw it up. After I say about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I finally started to feel like myself again. Like I was coming back. I was coming down. And maybe about after an hour, I kind of felt halfway like myself. Finally, I was able to get up. I recognized the two brothers from Ohio. We was able to get up, thank the girls, you know what I mean? And I was able to get in the car, and I was able to drive, you know, back to Patterson from New York. And, you know, we laughed and joked about it in the car on the way back. But I don't know if I ever smoked angel dust again after that, but I could definitely tell you I never was that high off of angel dust. I've been high off of other things, but I never was that high again off of angel dust. That was one time when I was really out of my mind, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. The feeling I had that day, because I didn't know who I was, I didn't know where I was at, I didn't know who the people was with me. It almost felt like I was a ghost, or I mean, like I was dead, but I was watching myself alive. But anyway, that was my angel dust story. I got more stories to come. Like, share, you know what I mean, and follow me. I really appreciate that. Thanks. From Keeping It Real with Jay Sean podcast. And if you wanna, and if you enjoyed the story, you know what I mean, I'm gonna leave my Cash App. You know what I mean. You could Cash App anything you want. Little donations, big donations, anything, be helpful. But until my next story, peace.
It's Keeping It Real with Jay Sean. Get the true love, life lessons he living through, sharing wisdom with the youth. Plug in, sit back, let him teach you right. Every story, every tip, bringing love to life. Keeping It Real with Jay Sean, Friday Night Delight.